Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. Rodrygo to Chelsea could still happen this summer transfer window. Benfica have made an offer for Joao Felix. Rafael Leao wants to leave AC Milan this summer. AC Milan have also rejected a first bid from Chelsea over Maignan. We have an update regarding Jamie Gittens in this window, and Nico has become Chelsea's top priority. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments.
And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10k by the end of 2025.
Kicking things off, Abalat, I think that's how you pronounce it, have reported that Benfica have reportedly offered Chelsea 25 million euros for Portuguese international Joao Felix and hope to register him before Tuesday to include him in their Club World Cup squad. We know that Benfica want Joao Felix. We know that Joao Felix is more than likely going to be exiting Chelsea this summer. And we know that Chelsea are going to be asking for a minimum of 30 million, but upwards to around 40 million euros this summer for anyone to take him on a personal deal. They don't want any more loans by the looks of it. Benfica are really interested. They want Joao Felix back to their club for the Club World Cup. 25 million euros, I have a feeling that Chelsea will not accept it. They may make a counter-offer and say 25 million euros plus add-ons that are very achievable to push it over that 30, or they could dig their heels in, flat out refuse and say, we want 35 million euros with some add-ons, potentially. Whether or not Benfica will take that, I very much doubt it. However, there are a lot of clubs in a rush to get deals done because they want to register their new players before the Club World Cup. And we know that this is the first sort of mini window, then it closes for about 5 or 6 days and then reopens for everyone else up until the 1st of September. So that is why there are a lot of clubs being aggressive in the market, Chelsea being one of them. We're linked with a lot of players. You know, if you're not subscribed, make sure you are, because this is daily Chelsea content. There's always something going on with our club who we're reportedly interested in, talks progressing, talks failing, things like that. So make sure you subscribe for daily content. But when it comes to Joao Felix, again, I've mentioned this many times, he's become a journeyman of European football. He just bounces from club to club to club, never really settles, never really finds some form. I don't know whether this is a player thing, an agent thing for more fees and transfers. However, we know that he loves Benfica. We know that he had a great spell at Benfica. That's what put his name on the map in terms of world football. They got an outrageous amount of money for him in that first transfer. I think it was well over 100 million euros. And at the time, that was absolutely mind-blowing. One of the biggest in the world at the time, no longer anymore. However, look, they love Felix. Felix seems to love Benfica. I don't know whether Chelsea will be happy with 25 million euros, like I said, unless they add in a load of add-ons, which they feel was very achievable to him to complete in that season at Benfica, to then bump that money up. It also sort of staggers that price for Benfica, which they may think is, actually, do you know what? That makes sense. It's our price up front is what we wanted, but the add-ons kind of boost it up over time. I'm not entirely sure. I personally don't want Joao Felix to go. I want him to stay at Chelsea. However, it's very clear that he's not an Enzo Maresca style player. Maresca didn't really want him. He was a make-weight for the Gallagher deal, which we all know at this point, and we just didn't utilise him. We played him in the Conference League and Cup games, and player of Joao Felix's quality shouldn't be playing those competitions. I mean, you could say Chelsea shouldn't have been playing those competitions anyway. I get the argument for that, but we're talking player-specific here. Felix should be playing in the Premier League. He did get Premier League minutes, and he had some good games and some poor games, let's be honest. But I just feel like he didn't really get a fair run out. But at the same time, he plays best as a 10 and as a false 9, which we could have used him in a lot in the second half of the season if we didn't loan him out to AC Milan, who even AC Milan were like, we don't want him. Scored in his first game for them and his last game for them. He would have played a lot as a false 9 because obviously Jackson and Guiu both got injured in the same game, which is just some really bad luck, to be honest. But, we tried playing him in the 10, playing him on the left-hand side. And you've got the likes of Cole Palmer. Nkunku can't get in. Felix can't get in. Even Nkunku and Felix both playing on the left. They had some good spells there, but you could tell it's not their natural position. Felix has played there a lot. I quite liked when we played a couple of games or even a couple of halves where it was Felix and Palmer, that left and the central. I thought it worked really well, but defensively it does lack a little bit. But I don't know if Chelsea are going to accept the 25 million euros or go back with a counter offer of around 30 million with some add-ons. You never know. I'll keep a close eye and see what gets reported in the next few days to see if that will go over the line. Chelsea might just be in a rush to get him off the books because they just think, look, okay, we're actually both going to the Club World Cup. You want him for your squad. Do you know what? We'll take 25 million. It gets him off of our wage bill, gets him off of our just off our books in general, and then we can kind of utilise that money for other signings in and around the same sort of time or later on in the window. But very curious to know your thoughts down below. Would you sell Joao Felix back to Benfica for 25 million euros, even if it means a few add-ons to bump it up or not? Or would you keep him for the Chelsea squad? Very curious to know your thoughts. Sky Sports have reported that Chelsea are in no rush to sign Jamie Gittens before the Club World Cup. The Dortmund forward is a top target, and Chelsea are exploring the parameters of a deal. This is very interesting because Gittens was almost like a top priority. We wanted to get him signed before the Club World Cup. It was like rush. Let's get this done. Talking of a fee of around £50 million, which I'd be more than happy paying for someone like Gittens. I know that we are interested in other wingers that I would say are better players, which will cost more. However, I do really like that Chelsea are taking a little bit of a step back and they're not rushing into signing Gittens at 50 mil before the Club World Cup just so we can take him to that competition. Because when we talk about things later on in this video, this is, I feel, one of the reasons why Chelsea take that step back and giving it a little bit more thought, a little bit more time, because there's a lot of targets on the market that Chelsea could go in at and really improve the squad. I would like a Jamie Gittens, but with who else we're sort of linked with, and people that we're discussing the parameters of deals with and talking to, I would much rather have some of those players than I would Jamie Gittens. However, I wouldn't say no to Jamie Gittens. Like I've constantly said this in a lot of videos, that left wing position is just a mystery right now. Sancho's gone back. Mudryk can't play. We don't even know what's happening with Mudryk. Yes, Noni Madueke and Pedro Neto can play on the left, which is great, but we essentially have two right wingers, no left wingers. Yes, you could say Tyreek George. I agree. He should and will get more minutes this season, but I don't feel like he's going to be a starter in the first team week in, week out just yet. He's developed massively in the season that's just finished, of course, but I don't think that just automatically promotes him to the first team every single week. I feel like, again, Maresca, and the way he manages his teams and manages his players, he will get a fair amount of opportunities, fair amount of minutes, but we do need that left winger that's going to come in and really elevate the squad, because we know that this window is all about improvements rather than just getting a sheer number of people through the door and seeing what works. This is a very pivotal summer window for Chelsea to really kick on next season with, a very developed and settled squad with what Maresca's done. Qualifying for Champions League, that's a big deal. Obviously, securing the Conference League, winning the European set, which is an amazing piece of history. But now we're looking to improve. It's not heart surgery. It's literally a couple of players in a couple of positions that really do elevate the squad to the next level for next season and give Enzo Maresca the best opportunity going forward. I do feel like Gittens would do very well. He's explosive. He's a high and wide winger. He's not really been played. He's been played more as an inside forward this season for Dortmund. He's had spells as an out-and-out winger, and when he plays out-and-out winger, that's when you see the best of him. Electric pace, very good with the ball at his feet, can beat a man, but I feel like he's not being utilised at Dortmund how Maresca would in his system as an out-and-out winger. I would love to see him in a Chelsea shirt. I think he would do very well. However, with everyone else we're reported with, he would be very low down on the list of players in terms of who I'd be happy to sign, considering the other targets. But I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below. Would you go for Jamie Gittens? Would you be in a rush to sign him before the Club World Cup for 50 million? Or would you hold back a little bit and think, actually, let's see who else is on the market and who is attainable, who is achievable to sign before we go for Jamie Gittens? Because I feel like he will be available for most of the market unless someone else comes in out of the blue, pays that 50 million and gets that signature over the line. But very curious to know your thoughts. Multiple sources have reported that Rodrygo is now likely to leave Real Madrid this summer. The club will demand at least 80 million euros fixed, and the final sale price will likely be 100 million euros. This is huge because there's been a lot of back and forth between Chelsea, Rodrygo, and Arsenal. They're the main clubs linked with Rodrygo, and also Rodrygo himself said that he wanted to stay at Madrid when obviously Xabi Alonso was appointed, and now it looks like he wants to leave. His preferred position is the left-hand side. He doesn't get in over Vinicius Jr. He's getting limited game time on that right-hand side. He wants to leave. He wants to play football, and I totally get that, right? 80 million euros for a player of this guy's quality is an absolute bargain. It's an absolute steal. Now, Arsenal are heavily linked with Rodrygo, and they're going to try and push to sign him. There is a lot of reports that suggest that. Chelsea have also been linked with him, and it's a case of we're aware of the opportunity of the market. We've not made any concrete movements for it. However, this is the opportunity. 80 million euros fixed with 20 millions of add-ons. That's something that both Arsenal and Chelsea can more than fulfill. I don't see that being an issue. But if Arsenal are seriously linked and are trying to negotiate and go into talks, this is where Chelsea need to go fight Arsenal on this. We need to make it as difficult as possible for Arsenal and try and secure the signature over them if that's the case. Because there is no way that Chelsea fans or Chelsea as a club will be happy of letting a talent like Rodrygo go for such a cutthroat price of 80 million euros fixed to their London rivals and not have any sort of negotiations or counter negotiations to make Rodrygo and Madrid think twice. This is a perfect opportunity. He is a massive needle mover. Could you imagine Rodrygo in our squad on that left? Rodrygo on the left, Palmer in the middle, Delap up front, and then you've got Esteval, Madueke or Neto, or even any of the other links we've got on that right-hand side. What an incredible front four. That takes us to challenges instantly with just a player of his ability. And like I said previously, with that left wing position having loads of question marks over it, and you bring in someone like Rodrygo, that's unbelievable. That's a game changer. That is game-changing. So what's interesting is we've gone through this cycle of Rodrygo saying he wanted to leave. Then he was actually like, do you know what? We're going to talk to the new manager, see what the plans are for the future. He's had those discussions, and now it's coming out like he's likely to leave Madrid this summer. And Madrid are happy with 80 million euros fixed. That's wild. That's wild. In pounds, I'm trying to work out what that would be in pounds. It's like 65, 70 million-ish in pounds. That is an absolute bargain. That is an unbelievable steal for a player of that calibre, and Chelsea should definitely, we are aware of the market opportunity, we should be attacking that as much as we can and go, right, what is it really going to cost us? Can we get this over the line? They should do everything they can. This is the type of player I would be happy for Chelsea to break the wage structure on, because he's a superstar in all aspects, in terms of his ability, obviously his footballing talent, what he does to how he improves the squad instantaneously. Obviously, the financial side of it, he's going to sell shirts. He's going to have good image rights. You're going to plaster him all over it. Him being in the Premier League is huge. It just makes a lot of sense for me. And if Arsenal are so heavily linked and they want to start talking, Chelsea have to go battle them. We can't just let our rivals go and secure a signing like this for this cheap and not put any sort of challenge in. If it comes to it and Chelsea match Arsenal or Chelsea better Arsenal in the bids and then Rodrygo decides to go to Arsenal, that's different. That's a different sort of situation you have to deal with. But if he goes to Arsenal and Chelsea don't even challenge it, that's embarrassing in my opinion, because that's just such a cutthroat price for a player of his calibre. But I'm very curious to know your thoughts. Do you think Rodrygo is going to leave Madrid this summer and go to somewhere like Chelsea or Arsenal, or do you feel like he'll stay at Real Madrid? Now, if you're staying at a club like Real Madrid, you're going to win multiple Champions Leagues throughout your career. Real Madrid is one of the biggest clubs in the world. So we know that he's going to leave, and if Madrid are... We know that if he is going to leave, Madrid are obviously happy with the fixed price with the add-ons, right? Cool. That's cheap in itself. That's just cheap in itself. But the player's going to want high wages. That's going to be the one thing that comes with it. He's going to want high wages. He's going to want a really good contract, which again, I feel like is valid. If you're coming from the best team in the world that is going to be winning multiple Champions Leagues throughout your career, because that's just what they do, and maybe some La Ligas, and other domestic trophies, you're going to want that financial pay packet to go to a club like Chelsea or Arsenal that's going to kind of not take it away, because I feel like if you add a Rodrygo into an Arsenal, into a Chelsea, that then automatically makes those teams able to compete for that Champions League just that little bit more than what they currently are, right? Chelsea going back into the Champions League. We are in the middle of a project. We're refining the positions that need improvement. Arsenal had a very good run in the Champions League this season, just finished. So again, it's like we can compete in them top European competitions. Chelsea have won it multiple times. Arsenal haven't, unfortunately. So that could play a factor. I don't know. But I would love to know your thoughts. Do you think Rodrygo will stay at Madrid or leave and go to a club like Arsenal or Chelsea? And how much do you think it will cost to secure his signature? Plettigol have reported that Rafael Leao wants to leave AC Milan, and the Italian club wants at least 70 million euros for him. And then the question is, who should sign him? Chelsea need to go after a superstar like Leao. Now, again, there's a lot of debates whether he's had a good season or not, right? And we know that a player like Leao is a confidence player. He's very, very talented, and he goes, up and down like most players do. Playing out wide, you're never going to be Lionel Messi week in, week out. That's just not how wingers perform, and we've seen that firsthand with the wingers that we've got, and we know that it needs to improve, right? And you even see it with the world's best wingers. Sometimes they set the world on fire. Sometimes they are a bit low on confidence. That's just how the world works in terms of wingers and football. I would love to see Chelsea go after Leao. 70 million euros, again, is so cheap. In pounds, that's like 55, 60 million, which is just so cheap in today's standard in terms of transfer fees. When you think you've got English players that are moving for 50 million that you'd put against Leao and go, well, that's a bargain. The same with Gyökeres going for about 60, 65 million. That's a bargain in comparison to Ekitike, where Frankfurt are demanding 100 million euros, and you put the two next to each other and you go, that makes no sense. So when you see that Leao wants to leave AC Milan and Milan only wants 70 million euros for him, Chelsea are already in talking about Big Mike, right? Could there be some sort of absolute monstrous offer from Chelsea where we go, do you know what, we'll take both. We'll take Mike for X amount of money and we'll put X amount of money in for Leao, or maybe a double deal. I don't know. It probably won't happen. This is just something I wanted to discuss with you guys, that Leao wants to leave Milan. 70 million euros is so cheap. For a player of his caliber, he can still go on and do unbelievable things. He plays very well at international level. Like, he's just experienced. Again, he's going to have the shirt sales. He's a big superstar. He is a needle mover. You bring him into that Chelsea side on that left-hand side, transforms everything. And again, imagine him in the squad that we have for next season. It would be unbelievable. Having Esteval on the right, Leao on the left, Palmer in the middle, obviously Rodrygo on the left, Esteval on the right. Again, like, you just think about the sort of front four that we're going to have. It would be absolutely frightening. So I would personally go all out for it. I think if you've got players like Rodrygo available, Leao available, go and get them. Just go, do what you can. If they say no, they say no, but at least you've gone in and tried and gone, right, what is this going to cost to get it over the line? Let's do something. This is what we're willing to offer. Can we do it? If it's a no, at least we tried. And do you know what? I don't mind that as much. If we just completely ignore it and go for someone like a Gittens, who has got a high potential, bags of talent, but still very young, and he still may not develop into the player of like a Leao or a Rodrygo, then it's just kind of like, oh, great, we've got a good player, but we've still got to wait 3 years to see if he really turns into a world beater, and he might not even do that. Whereas going after someone like Leao or a Rodrygo, you know what you're getting for the price. You just know what you're getting. So I would love to know your thoughts down below. Would you go for Leao? Do you think 70 million euros is a steal? Or would you go for someone like Rodrygo, put more eggs in one basket and go for someone like Rodrygo? Very curious to know your thoughts. 86 Longo has reported he's been very vocal and very factually correct throughout this entire saga of Mike Maignan, AC Milan and Chelsea. He's just reported that AC Milan rejected Chelsea's first offer that was way less than 20 million euros for Mike Maignan because it was considered too low. The second offer is expected between Monday and Tuesday. Maignan is tempted by Chelsea. He then goes on to report that, Milan have rejected a bid from Chelsea. It was less than £15 million. That's just to give us a bit more context there. And look, we know what Chelsea are trying to do. Right, we've valued him at 8.4 million. We're trying to lowball him. It's definitely the briefing where you start, you go in for negotiations. We've gone in for around 15 million. Milan are like, nope, that is too low. I do feel like Chelsea will get this over the line. I really, really do, because it's such a good opportunity. Chelsea don't want to pay the 25 million pounds for Mike Maignan. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I think I am. They don't want to pay it, and that's fair enough, right? The way that fans see it is just pay the money. It's an incredible deal. He's 29 years old, 12 months left on his contract, world-class keeper. Just get it done. And I get the business side of it. It's like, well, there's no point overpaying if we can get it cheaper, because realistically, and how football works, is he has 12 months left on his contract. We value that 8.4 million. That's what we're going to pay. And we've gone in at 15 million, which is nearly double that. And Milan have said it's too low. I feel like Chelsea will get this done with like a 18.5, 19 million pound cash up front with add-ons, which pushes it over to say like 22, 23 million. I feel like that will come, and I feel like Milan will accept something like that, because if we could get Big Mike for the Club World Cup, that would be unbelievable. I am so excited. I feel very, very confident that Chelsea will get this over the line between now, Monday or Tuesday, when they say, look, the next offer is meant to go in. But I'm very curious to know your thoughts in terms of how do you feel Chelsea are going to deal with this? Do you feel Chelsea are just going to turn away and be like, do you know what? We've made our offer. You're not happy. See you later. Or do you feel like Chelsea are going to go in with a revised offer, whether it is just like 22 million pounds straight up front, or something a bit lower like 18, 19 million with some add-ons? What do you think that Chelsea will do? Let me know in the comments. And also, would you take Big Mike? Do you feel like he is a needle mover in terms of goalkeeper? I've had a lot of people in comment sections in the last few days talking about how he isn't really a needle mover. We have Petrovic coming in. And look, I hear you. Petrovic had an incredible development season, but I still think that someone like Mike is just levels above in terms of playing in the Champions League, having that consistency of being at a big club. And look, his defence in front of him for the last couple of years has been absolutely woeful. So yes, he's levels of things conceded have looked a bit higher, but obviously his previous game in international, when you play against an unplayable Spain, is always going to make anyone sort of look average, right? He conceded 5 goals and you kind of go, well, let's just leave him. it's so surface level. He's such a good player in terms of distribution, shot stopping. He's got the experience. We need that older person within the squad to give that experience. He commands his box very well, and his distribution's top tier. So I think he would be perfect. And that's just my thoughts. I feel like he is a big step up from Sanchez. I feel he's a step up from Petrovic. And if you bring in someone like Big Mike, you got Big Mike and Petrovic fighting out for number one. I'm more than happy with that. I think that is such an upgrade of what we've got this year. A lot of people defending Sanchez. Look, I've been very vocal about Sanchez. I didn't like him at the start of the season. A lot of errors leading to goals, the most in the top 5 leagues. And to put it in comparison, Mike Maignan has had 4 errors leading to goal in the last 4 seasons, and Sanchez had 5 this season. So that's just a massive comparison. And that's not to throw shade at Sanchez, that's just to see things from a different perspective. I've always said that I'm always fair and give credit. Sanchez has improved massively in the second half of the season, and hey, fair play to him. He's done very, very well. I still think that Chelsea can improve in that area, and I feel like someone like Big Mike is a massive improvement. And with Petrovic coming back is also reinforcements to have a solid goalkeeper team between the sticks. And again, whatever you want to do with Sanchez and Robinson and Jorgensen, it's entirely up to you. Again, they can all fight for the second spot or whatnot. I still feel like Petrovic coming back, he's going to get a lot of game time across the season anyway with the sheer amount of games we're going to be playing. But if you go sign someone like Big Mike, I don't know, it just gives the team a lot more confidence, gives the fans a lot more confidence in between the sticks, and just know that we've got someone who's been there and done it at the biggest stages, and yeah, he's got the experience. But that's just my opinion. I would love to know your thoughts down below. And lastly, Fabrizio Romano said on DAZN Football that Chelsea and Arsenal's number 1 target is Nico Williams, and both clubs are prepared to do something crazy in terms of financials. However, neither club have the green light. Nico is comfortable in Spain, and talks are there over a new deal. This is massive, massive news, and this is what I've been saying previously in the video. When you are linked with the likes of Gittens, Rodrygo, Leao, Williams, this is why I feel Chelsea being smart in, taking a step back over the Gittens deal, not trying to rush it to get it over the line, because I feel like we have a massive opportunity to get someone like Leao or Rodrygo or Williams, where we are going to be spending that crazy money, where we are going to be breaking the wage structure, paying big transfer fee, but they are needle movers in that left wing position. Because honestly, Nico Williams, unbelievable player. Rodrygo, unbelievable player. Leao, in my opinion, unbelievable player. And I know people have their own opinions, and of course, that's the game's the game. I get it. I would love to have a conversation with you in the comments about who you feel was best out of those 3. But for me, this is huge news, because I feel like, again, Arsenal are going to go in, Chelsea are going to go battle them. We've seen so many reports that both Arsenal and Chelsea and the Premier League in general absolutely love Nico Williams and would love to see him play in the Premier League. And if you've got Arsenal going in for him and Chelsea going in for him, are willing to pay crazy, in Fabrizio's word, crazy in terms of financials, does this mean we would be spending something like 275, 300 grand a week on a Nico Williams? Would you be happy with that? Now, for me, I still think that's a ludicrous amount of money, right? And I get it. Footballers are overplayed anyway. But with Chelsea's new wage structure, we've reduced it a lot. We've got this incentivized wage structure. But we are, the club have said many times they're willing to break it for the right opportunity. Now, for me, this looks like one of those right opportunities. Rodrygo looks like the right opportunity. Rafael Leao looks like the right opportunity, where we can go, do you know what? We're going to spend big on the transfer fee, which is, to be fair, I say spend big, it's still cheap for these players. I think Nico Williams' release clause is around 50 million, 55 million. Which again, it all falls in suit of Nico Williams, Rodrygo and Leao all being fairly similar in the terms of money that the clubs would be happy to receive. It's just the wages. So I feel like they're going to look at this and go, right, what out of these 3 players can we secure? And how high are we willing to go in the wage department? How high are we willing to go? How much are we willing to pay? Oh, Nico Williams wants 300 grand a week. Do you know what? We will give him that. You never know. We could see that. It could be that Chelsea go, do you know what? We are, in their terms of crazy and financial, is like, oh, we'll do like 260. And Arsenal will say, oh, we'll give you 325 or whatnot. But we know that Chelsea can pay big wages, because they've done it to the likes of Sterling. They've done it for the likes of Lukaku. They've done it for other players. Ben Chilwell was on big wages. Reece James, the highest paid player at the club, barring Sterling, because we're trying to get rid of him. But you know what I mean? Nkunku's on 185 grand a week. Like, we've been a club that pays the high wages. We've done very well to reduce that wage bill, and I now think we're in the comfortable position where we can offer a player like Nico Williams, Rodrygo, Leao the massive wages with the transfer fee, because again, it's a needle mover, a massive needle mover on that left-hand side. So I would love to know your thoughts about Nico Williams down below. Did this get you excited? Are you excited for a signing of someone like Nico Williams that Chelsea and Arsenal both going in for? Or would you prefer going in for someone like Rodrygo or Leao? Or would you be happy with a Jamie Gittens, knowing that you've got players like Nico Williams and these others available for very similar prices? It's just about the wages that we are happily willing to give or offer these players. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below, because I'm very, very curious. I would take a Nico Williams. I would take a Rodrygo. I would take a Leao. And to be fair, if we try and fail in signing all three, one, I think that's a little bit embarrassing. We should be able to secure one of the three, in my opinion, with our pool and what we can realistically offer these players. But I would also be relatively happy with a Jamie Gittens, because he's a good player that has a lot of potential, but even right now he's at a good standard, and we have a big, big hole on that left-hand side, in my opinion, where we do need some improvements into that squad. Losing Sancho, losing Mudryk, well, I say losing Mudryk, but the club's pretty much acting like he doesn't exist. I don't know, if I had to pick, I would love Rodrygo. If that doesn't happen, I'd go for Nico Williams. But at the same time, you kind of have to go for all three and see what comes back, because they're all available. And if we want to try and get a big, big deal done, I can't see this being done before the Club World Cup. You never know. It could happen before, while you're watching this, it could have already be going on. But I realistically see this happening across the summer window, to kind of see and feel out the amount of money that's going to be spent, the clubs that are being spoken to, etc. So very curious to know your thoughts. Let me know them down below in the comments. And that's all the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported. I love having a conversation with you guys down in the comment section. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one, and I mean that, you're a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.